Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, thank you for sticking with us for so long. So Raghunath Das Goswami is saying this is wonderful. You have attachment for Guru, for the process of surrender, for the devotees, for the holy places, the holy name, for the mantras. You're making an effort, working at giving up pride, giving up this identity of I'm a very good person in this world, I'm a bad person in this world. Seeing Lord Chaitanya as Krishna and the Guru as Krishna's friend, being patient, life after life, following Swarup Rupa and Sanatan, having awakened some feelings for Krishna or wanting to do so, having this jewel of service which fills one's life with transcendental sound, and being protected from improper actions by the police officers, those who are themselves free from hypocrisy, guarding one on the shining path of bhakti, and a mind that is always swimming in the ocean of love and full of joy and peace. That's wonderful, Raghunath Das Goswami says. But what about your heart? Pratishatsvadrista swapacharamani meridinatet katam sadhu prema sprirshati shuchir etananumanaha sadatvam sevasva prabhudaita samantamachulam Yata tam nishkasya twaritam ihatam veshayati saha. As long as the unchaste, dog-eating woman of desire for prestige dances in my heart, how can the chaste and pure lady of love for Krishna touch it? Therefore, O mind, you should always serve the incomparable, beloved devotee commander of Krishna's army, who will immediately throw out the unchaste woman and establish the pure lady of love in the heart. So one thinks, oh, I have this jewel of service that's filling my life with transcendental sound, and my actions are all pakka because I am protected by those free from hypocrisy on the shining path. And moreover, my mind is always swimming in the ocean of love. Oh, there's a party going on in my heart. Raghunath Das Goswami says, okay, all right, you better see who's at the party and what they're eating. He said, it could be that what they're serving is a dead dog. People do eat dogs, so it is a kind of food, but it's not a very nice food. Now, this dead dog represents honor, prestige, praise, and the problem isn't so much with the dog. The problem is that also at this party, there's a disloyal woman who likes to eat the dog. She represents the desire for praise and honor. Why is she disloyal? When we want honor, we don't tend to stay around people who are criticizing us. Right? We only want to be around people who praise us. So disloyal, when we want praise, we will simply go to whoever is flattering our ego. And you see here in the back, these nice ladies. Yes, you see them here in the back? So if we go back to the verse, you see where the verse says sadhu prema. See the long a? Usually the word is prema. Prema is the feminine form. So these are the ladies of love, the chaste ladies of love. And as long as this dead dog and this disloyal woman are in the heart, these ladies will not enter. So I know sometimes I've been in a shopping mall, I've seen something in a store, I thought, oh, I could use that. But when I start to enter the store, there's some really loud, obnoxious music. And so I just turn around and go out. So you can understand that if the mind is always swimming in the ocean of love and one's behavior is pakka, one's life is filled with transcendental sound, that the ladies of love would want to enter our heart. That, oh, I want... Right. Now, in his song commentary, Bhaktivinoda says that this disloyal woman, this unchaste woman, she has a boyfriend. His name is deceit or pretentiousness. So we have all these masks on the wall. So why is that? Because when we want honor, we will tend not to be very honest. We are always trying to portray ourselves as more or less better than we really are. I mean, materially speaking, friendship usually consists of simply people trying to impress each other. So this dishonesty, this disloyalty of the woman with the desire for honor brings her this lover of pretense. Now, Bhaktivinoda says something pretty heavy here in his commentary. He says that this desire for honor is the root of everything pretentious in our life. So we've illustrated this here. Bottom, you see some trophies, and here you see masks. And he says something really quite heavy. He says, if you get to this point and you don't ultimately root out the desire for honor, the other problems may return. And we've actually seen that. I mean, I'm thinking of one person in particular. We've seen cases of devotees who become very, very advanced, genuinely advanced, but they maintain this desire for honor and prestige, and they end up falling back down into the other problems. So Bhaktivinoda writes in his commentary about how both renunciates and householders have desire for prestige. But we can ask, what is it that the devotee at this point wants to be honored for? not so much skills and accomplishments. For devotion. Spiritual, yes. The desire to be honored for accomplishments in the world is long gone at this point. But a person wants to be honored for their devotion. And if you think about it, a person who's come to this point is very devoted. Someone who's come to this point is rare. Their lives are filled with transcendental sound. Their actions are hakka. Their mind is swimming always in the ocean of love. I mean, it's a very exalted person. But if they want to be honored for being exalted, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the householders, they want to be honored for being very kind, very religious, for being a devotee of Vishnu, for knowing spiritual subjects, for being very detached. My husband and I used to always brag that we had a house with no furniture. The renunciates, they want to be honored for being renounced. Okay? Only travel with one dhoti. For being a master of the Shastra conclusions, for having a perfect understanding of devotion. I was talking to one devotee who said to me, Urmila, I'm the only one who really understands the science of bhakti and rasa from the Shastra. And I thought, that's the dead dog. There's this very nice verse that says, even to this day, the girl named Stuti, or praise, has never gotten married. And the reason is that the sadhus don't like her, and she doesn't like the demons. Right? The real sadhus, they never want to get married to this lady named praise and honor. So what is the solution to this problem? This is a very, very deep-rooted problem. And Prabhupada defines humility as being free from the desire to want to be honored by others and to not relishing getting the honor from others. That we find, of course, an extreme example in Madhavendra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri had the deity steal the sweet rice for him, the pujari came in the middle of the night to give him the sweet rice, and Madhavendra Puri ate it in ecstasy, and then he thought, I better leave right away in the middle of the night, because otherwise people won't honor me. And this will be a problem. Of course, they honored him anyway. But that was his mood, that he was going to run from honor. Can you think of people in the scriptures who got caught up by this desire for honor? Huh? Daksha, yes, oh, really had a problem with this. Indra, ooh. This seems to be a big problem, doesn't it? Look what they did. Again, if you think about how elevated, we think, oh, Daksha, Indra, but they're very great personalities. And they're devotees. I mean, Daksha, when he was chanting the Hamsa Guhya prayers, he saw Lord Vishnu and he experienced bhava. An ordinary person. And Indra, Indra's a wonderful devotee. Definitely. If we would meet Indra, we'd be very impressed. He's a wonderful devotee. But just look at what happens when they have this desire for honor. And Daksha offends Lord Shiva. And Indra tries to kill everyone in Vrindavan. I've met some Vaishnava aparatis in my life, but never to that extent. I've never met anybody who wanted to, wipe out a whole devotee community, flood all the houses, and kill everybody, just because he wasn't being honored. He was ready to kill millions of people, millions of cows, because he was dishonored. Anybody else you can think of had this problem with honor? Ooh, Durvasa Muni is another one. Again, he was ready to kill. seems to do something strange to us, doesn't it? Look at these examples. I mean, Durvasa Muni was going to kill his host. Over what? That his host drank a sip of water before he fed his guest? For that he was going to kill? Because he felt he was dishonored. Any other examples? Hiranyakashipu, he felt his son was dishonoring him, wasn't he? Didn't he? These are all examples of people who are ready to kill. They were ready to commit murder. Wow. You know, people who've studied the rage response, the Bhagavatam says we can become suddenly enraged. It feels like it's falling out of the sky. I assume that most of us have experienced this kind of sudden anger. And then we'll say and do things, and later we're just like, I can't believe I did that. Hopefully we haven't killed anybody in our anger. But one of the main triggers for extreme sudden anger is thinking that we've been insulted. You can explain it biologically. You can explain, well, we're social animals and our status in the society has something to do with our access to resources. If you have higher status in the society, you have more access to resources. People spend a lot of time and energy in life having a higher status, don't they? Isn't it? Men and women do it a little differently, a little different path. But the principle of having a high status and being very enraged if our status is threatened by dishonor is basically common not only among humans, but it's even common among the devas and otherwise very exalted persons. We can see that there's a direct relationship between this attachment to being honored for being a great devotee and Vaishnava aparad, isn't there? In these examples we've looked at, you see a direct relationship. Many times when we think we're angry on principle, it's not that. All these people thought they were angry on principle, didn't they? Durvasa think it's the principle of the thing, but it wasn't. Indra thought it was the principle of the thing. It wasn't. Daksha thought it's the principle of the thing, but it wasn't. It was all about their personal prestige and their personal status. And what a dangerous thing that can take someone like Indra or Daksha or Durvasa and bewilder them so much that they were ready to commit murder. And it's so deep-rooted we don't see it for what it is. If you said to Durvasa, hey, this is just your ego. No, it's not. I'm protecting religious principles. This king is not respecting the brahmanas, and he's not respecting the principle of serving your guest. And I am trying to reestablish religious principles in the world. No, you're not. You're just defending your ego. You don't need to kill somebody to defend religious principles. You could have just said, my dear king, maybe you could have just said something like that, right? So this is deep-rooted and disguised. This is more disguised from us than the donkey urine problem. And it's very, 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 very deep in the heart. Frankly, almost all of the difficulties between devotees in the society is due to this problem. Now, I know we have an external, interesting behavior in our Hare Krishna movement that we fight for who can be the lowest. You take the mat. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. I'll wash the dish. No, I'll wash the dish. So externally, we have our interesting social behavior of I want to be lower than you, and I want to be more menial than you. But then as soon as our prestige and honor is threatened, then we immediately become offensive. Even if we imagine that our honor is threatened, then we become offensive. Ambarish was not threatening Durvasa's honor. Not at all. Shiva was not threatening Daksha's honor. They just imagined this. So what is the cure for this? And it's particularly insidious when we want to be honored for being a devotee. That looks especially nice for us. I'm being honored for being free from the desire for honor. No. It's not like that. And inside I'm thinking, yes, finally. So Raghunath Das Goswami in this one tells us to go to the devotees. To remember, for the problem with sound, we go to the Lord. The problem with the thieves, we go to the devotees. The problem with the donkey urine, we go to the Lord. And for this one, we go to the devotees. And this one is such a serious problem. We have to go to the highest devotees. To get free from the thieves and the ropes, we can go to any devotee who's free from hypocrisy. For this, we have to go to the army generals. We have to go to the most exalted top generals in Krishna's army. And they will throw this desire for prestige and pretense out of our heart, at which point Krishna will throw them out of our heart. He will clean our heart. And then our heart becomes like a very beautiful city into which the chaste lady of love will enter. So what do you think? Is that nice? Would we like that? So how does this work? Well, again, this desire for honor is to be honored as a devotee. So at this point in the process, a person no longer wants to be God. They don't want to be God. But they want to be a great saint. You understand? I don't want to be God, but I want to be a saint. I remember once a poem I wrote many years ago. And I wrote, I'm aching to become a saint. So the cure is to serve the actual saints. To take the view of being a servant of the saints instead of trying to be a saint. That doesn't mean you go out drinking or something because you say, I don't care about being a saint. But the idea is that I'm not trying to be the greatest anything. I'm actually trying to be a servant. Now, the reason this works is that, interestingly enough, this desire for honor, praise, and recognition has a spiritual origin. This question that if I become humble, that means I'm going to get abused. I won't care anymore what anybody thinks of me. But there is somebody that the humble person cares a lot what that person thinks of them. And that is Krishna. In the chapter in Krishna book of Akrura going to Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada writes, if we're not seeking to be recognized by Krishna, our life is condemned. This desire for honor and recognition and praise is rightly used when I want Krishna to notice me. Like Srila Prabhupada would quote Bhaktisiddhanta saying, don't try to see God, act in such a way that God will see you. What does that mean? That Krishna says, come. And Krishna recognizes you. I think it was when Ronald Reagan was president, I'm pretty sure. There was this one 14-year-old boy who was an entrepreneur. He'd been very successful in his own business at 14. And he had given, I think it was only about $1,000, but he'd given $1,000 to the IRS to help pay off the national debt. So the story somehow went to the president, and the president called him. He wasn't trying to see the president. He wasn't knocking on the door, but the president came to see him. Well, that's really what we want. We want Krishna to knock on our door. Hey, I heard you did this. Are you the one who made that sandesh this morning? But what is Krishna going to honor us for? Is he going to honor us because we're so pure? What do you think? It's not going to happen to me, I'll tell you that. Is that why he's going to honor us? You think Krishna's going to come and say, yes, I honor you because you're so pure and saintly? What he's going to honor us for is serving his devotees. Isn't it like that? Right? If your spouse is sick and somebody helps take care of your spouse, don't you feel indebted to them? If someone takes care of your children, and your children, you feel indebted. You know, or if your parents are disabled or sick and somebody's taking care of them, you're so grateful. Oh, thank you for taking care of my mother. Thank you for taking care of my father. Well, that's how Krishna feels. Oh, thank you for taking care of my devotee. Why the top devotee? Because we want to be the top devotee. This is the problem. Therefore, we have to serve the top devotee. We recognize this is the top devotee, and I am a servant. And then Krishna recognizes us. Krishna says, well done, good and faithful servant. At that point, we are so satisfied that we no longer care about the honor of this world. Is the honor of this world true? Is it real? When everyone's honoring us for being saintly, is that authentic? No, not at all. But when Krishna honors us for being a servant of his devotees, that is authentic. And immediately we become detached from the shallow honor of the world. Right? One devotee was actually saying to me today, oh, you know, I have some problems, but when I'm helping the younger devotees, they just think I'm wonderful. And I'm thinking, I'm not really so wonderful. Right? We all know this, isn't it? When people are saying, oh, you're so sincere, you're so devoted, we're thinking, you don't know what I was thinking about the last hour. You know? But when, and we feel that it's phony. Yes? We're only wanting it because we don't have the real thing. So how do we serve the great devotees? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we serve them through embraces, through taking the dust of their feet, through eating the remnants of their food. This is child Narada. Through taking the water that washes their feet. And then the potency flows from their heart into our heart. And then the sadhu prema, the chaste ladies of love, enter into our heart. This is our painting for this verse. This is the gopis after bathing in Radhakund, dressing for the pleasure of the Lord. So, we made it. We got through the obstacles of speech, of action, of mind, and of heart. Now we go to the last section of the Manashiksha. These are the verses that deal with the steps after having attained perfection. And as I said Thursday, as I said from Thursday, so even though these verses are dealing with high subject matters, they are all relevant to beginners as well. They can all be applied even if it's your first week in Krishna consciousness. Yata dustatvam me davayati shatyasyapi kripaya Yata mayam premam ritamapi dadyat yujvalamasham Yata Shri Gandharva Bhajana Vidhaye Prerayatimam Tata Goste Kakva Giridharam Iha Tvam Bhajamanaha. Even though I am a cheater, the Lord's mercy can drive away my inherent wicked nature, give me the glowing nectar of divine love, and inspire my heart with the process to worship Sri Gandharvika. Therefore, O mind, with pleading words, you should worship Sri Giridhari here in Vrindavan. So what is now gone? Pride. There's no more pride. There's no more, oh, I'm a Pukka devotee, I'm always in the ocean of love, I'm so pure, I'm a wicked cheater. And you'll notice in the Sanskrit we have yata, 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 and tata. It's a very common grammatical construction in Sanskrit, yata and tata. And each of these yata is asking for a benediction. First benediction. Please give me mercy to drive away my inherent wicked nature. So, first one. Mercy for what? Drive away wickedness. My heart is dirty, but you can plant a garden in my heart. Now, we might have thought when we were going through these verses of the obstacles that they're very difficult. Perhaps we felt a little overwhelmed. So Lord Brahma says in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto in the demigods in the 2nd chapter that our difficulties may seem like a huge ocean. So of course here in the Midwest you don't see any oceans. You see the Great Lakes. Even Lake St. Clair is pretty big, isn't it? Hard to see the other side. So we feel like that. Our difficulties, our pride, they're just like a huge ocean. But with the mercy of the Lord, a miracle happens. You ready? Everybody ready? Okay? 1, 2, 3. We do that again? There we have a great ocean of faults. And then by mercy, 1, 2, 3. Woo! It's a dirty puddle. Definitely a dirty puddle. But it's very small. You can cross over it very easily. Okay. I'd like you can do this on your own. If you're an introvert, you can work by yourself. Otherwise, you can work with 2 or 3 other people. Think of as many songs as possible where the devotees is praying for mercy to drive away wickedness. Do that on your own, or you can work with a friend. Do we have any songbooks here in the temple? Just a few outside. So maybe we can get those few on the database. I'd like you to think, I know it's after lunch. People are just, everyone's really struggling here. Thank you for coming after lunch on a hot day. Think of as many songs that you know of that are asking for mercy to drive away wickedness. Songs, prayers, verses. Some of you who aren't looking for songs, I see are taking the opportunity to take a nap. Anything that has to do with illusion or wickedness. But specifically asking for mercy to be free from Maya. Okay. What have you come up with? Somebody like to volunteer? Just give me one. Yeah? Okay, can you tell me what it says there? That's maybe what we'll do. Why don't we give there you go. Okay. Oh, we don't have much. We are entangled in the material world. Okay, so what's the name of the song?
Anadi Karma Phale. It's a Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song on Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavambuddha verse,
Ah, okay.
where he says that I have accumulated so much materialistic tendency by which is beyond origin, Anadi, that much I have accumulated, and the rogues of mental speculation and karma, fruitive activity are actually in the highway. They are dragging me.
Oh, very much like Raghunath Das Goswami's highway robbers.
And so they are putting me into this Bhava Sindhu. It's like such a big ocean of materialistic existence.
Oh, look at that. All right.
So now all I have is you are my bandhu, you are my friend, and you are Krishna Kripa Sindhu. You are the merciful Lord. So please accept me and relieve me of this this poisonous materialistic ocean. And he also says that I am a fallen servant of yours, so please accept me and make me an atom of your dust at the dust particle at your lotus feet. And Amitabh, I'm your eternal servant, and I have forgotten this. Please awaken this in me.
Okay, very nice. Okay, next group, take it to the back there. Just give us one.
Damodarastaka prayers. Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prashida Prabho Dukha Jalavigmagnam. That O Damodar, O Vishnu, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's almost like the Ajinanda Tanuja Kinkara. I'm drowning, so please pick me up.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. This song is by Narottam Das Thakur.
Yes.
His song name is Gauranga Corona Koro.
What is it?
Hina Hina Jane. I just love this.
I don't know if I can sing it for you. I don't know. I don't think I know it. Sorry.
Gauranga Corona Koro.
Oh, you wanna sing it?
Ami
Okay.
Hina Hina Jane. I mean, this is a very, I love this. What it means, translation is, oh my dear Lord, Gauranga, please show your
O my dear Lord Gauranga, please show your mercy to this lowly and destitute soul. O Lord, there is no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. Holding grass between my teeth, O Lord Gaura, I am calling out to you now. Please be compassionate upon me and come to reside within the temple of my heart.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, over here. Thank you so much. Oh, I really like that song.
Emona Durmati Sara Vitore. Translation is, O Lord, such a wicked mind has brought me into this world, but one of your pure and elevated devotees have come to bring me out of it. He saw me so fallen and wretched, took pity and came to me, saying, O humble soul, please listen to this good tidings, for it will gladden your heart. Krishna Chaitanya has appeared in the land of Navadvip to deliver you. He has safely connected my many miserable souls, such as you, across the sea of worldly existence. To fulfill the promise of the Vedas, the son of Brahmana, bearing the name Mahaprabhu of golden complexion, has descended with his brother, the Avadhuta Nityananda. Together they have overwhelmed all of Nadia with divine ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, the son of Nanda, has saved the world by freely distributing his own holy name.
And how do you spell it again?
Also-
Emona
Durmati
Durmati.
Yeah. Samsara Bito.
Okay, someone else? Woo!
Gopinath song Mata.
I was waiting for that one.
Gopinath Mama Nivedana Suno Vishaya Durjana Sada Kamarata Kichunahi Mora Guna. The translation is, O Gopinath, Lord of the cowherd girls, please hear my prayer. I am a wicked materialist, always addicted to worldly desires, and no good qualities I possess. I possess. You are my only hope, so I have taken shelter at your lotus feet. I am your eternal servant.
Thank you.
And
Okay, someone else? Well, let's go here and then we'll go back there.
Hari Hari Bifale.
Oh, yeah, okay. Can you just tell us a little bit of the translation?
O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained a human birth and having not worshipped Radha and Krishna. I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns from the fire of the poison of worldliness. I have not taken shelter, taken the means to relieve it. Then the last paragraph, O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Rishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottam Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved?
Very nice. Thank you. Back? Ah, okay. You want to read us just a section of it?
The lotus feet of Lord Nityanand are the shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one but of millions of moons. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of lotus feet of Lord Nityananda.
Okay, you're actually getting into, with that part of Nitya Padakvala, you're getting into the second prayer of this verse of Manashiksha. But I think it's really the end of Nitya Padakamala. Can you get the end of Nitya Padakamala where it really talks about mercy to drive away wickedness?
The third verse is the being maddened after false prestige and identification with body. One is thinking, oh, what is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he is accepting something false to be truth. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord
Past
Nityananda.
that, the very end.
So last is the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not illusion. They are a fact. One who engages in transcendental loving service of Lord Nityananda is always transcendental. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. This Narottam Das Thakur is very unhappy.
There we go.
Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy.
Yeah, it's the
My dear
last.
Lord, please keep me close to lotus feet.
It's the last part. Okay, and in the back.
The one I found was from Amar Jivana. Ruined by laziness and sleep, I resist all pious deeds.
Hey, there's this picture. Can you get a picture of that? Go away, pious deeds. Anyway, I'm sorry. I was really got this whole ready to tell an artist to execute a painting. Go ahead.
Yet I am very active and enthusiastic to perform wicked acts. For worldly fame and reputation, I engage in the practice of deceitfulness. Thus I am destroyed by my own greed and am always lustful.
And something about mercy? That so far was just depressing. Anything about mercy?
Now in old age, deprived of all means of success, humbled and poor, Bhakti Vinod submits his tale of grief at the feet of the Supreme Lord.
Asking at the feet of the Supreme Lord. Okay, somebody else who hasn't said anything yet? Who hasn't said something yet? Here we go. I think, and the frontier we haven't heard from also. Is that turned on?
Gurudev, Kripa Bindu Diya song.
Can you read us just a bit of the translation?
Yeah, with a drop of your mercy, make the servant of yours humbler than a blade of grass. Give me the strength to bear all trials and troubles and free me from all desire for honor. O Lord and Master, please invest me with the power to honor all living beings properly. Only then will I sing the holy name in great ecstasy, free of offenses. O Lord and Master, when will such mercy fall to this weak and foolish devotee? Please make me a beloved servant. When I examine myself, I find nothing of value. Therefore, your mercy is essential to me. If you are not merciful, I shall simply weep, and I shall not maintain my life.
Very nice. Okay, someone in the front here? Somebody here? Come on, I heard you talking about the Shikshastika verse. The second verse of Shikshastika.
Related to the wickedness.
Okay. Thank you. And someone else, the gentleman there?
The song about Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Prabhu Daya Karo Mot. It says, my dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within the three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find greater fallen soul than me.
Very nice. All right, the next benediction that's being asked for here is to be given glowing nectar to drink. And this glowing nectar that's, of course, a metaphor. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this glowing nectar is coming from Radha Krishna being poured into the hearts of the devotees. I was wondering, is that fully sharp? There we go. And Bhaktivinoda says that this glowing nectar poured into the hearts of the devotees means the rays of the Hladini Shakti. And the rays of the Hladini Shakti illuminate our eternal relationship with Krishna. So we're really asking for revelation of our eternal relationship. So you already mentioned this in the song Nitai Padakamala. You're talking about how Lord Nityananda brings us into the association of Radha Krishna. Just quickly, without looking, anyone think of some other songs we're asking for our eternal relationship with Krishna? Yes. What is it? Oh, okay. The song on the 6th verse. 5th. And that's what the 5th verse is asking for also. The Tulsi prayers. Any others? In Jeev Jago? Not sure. Any others? Radha Krishna Bolbo? Okay. Any others? Huh? The Guru Vandana? In which line of the Guru? In what part of the Guru Vandana? Where does it ask for revelation of our eternal rasa? Maybe. Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite. If you have prema, it has to be a specific prema. You can't just have prema. You understand? Do you remember which part? Oh, okay. Some others? There's some more. Radha Krishna Pranamoy. Yeah. Of course, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. Okay. Now, the third request that's being made here, this is our painting for this verse. The third request that's being made here is for the shelter and worship of Srimati Radharani, the internal energy. Any songs you know of like that? Asking specifically for the shelter of the internal energy, the shelter of Srimati Radharani? Uh-huh. That's a funny song. You know why that's a funny song? So that song wasn't properly translated for a long time. But actually, it's Srila Prabhupada talking to Krishna, saying, Krishna, my dear brother, if you want to be happy, you're going to have to get Radharani to be pleased with you. And the way Radharani is going to be pleased with you is if you facilitate my preaching in the West, basically, is what it is. That's a really interesting song. Any other prayers that ask for the shelter of Radharani? Damodar Astakam, right? The last one, last stanza. What else? The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra you can put everywhere. Okay. That's more glorification, yeah. So is this one. Again, the Tulsi prayer. Well, yeah, but that's more asking for revelation of our eternal relationship. Now notice the Tulsi prayer actually has all three. Right? Tulsi prayer has with Yani Kani Chapapani, asking for mercy to drive away wickedness. And it's also asking for the adhikar for our eternal service. And it's asking for the shelter of the internal energy. And I think it's interesting that that's a prayer that everybody says, right? Even the beginners, right? So here this is text 8 of Manashiksha. It's very elevated. But these three prayers we're making every day in our Hare Krishna movement, right? Every morning. When I visited a temple, they were singing that for the Sunday feast. Probably isn't actually such a good idea, but so let's look for a minute at these three. So mercy to drive away wickedness. Go back a minute. And mercy to drive away wickedness. This is coming from humility. So as we mentioned earlier, the proud person wants mercy because they want to take a shortcut. They're thinking all those other people, they have to work really hard to attain enlightenment, but you know, I'm much better than that. I should just be able to get mercy and get a shortcut. I mean, I remember those board games I played as a kid. You land on the right square and you can kind of jump to the end of the game. So they're looking for that kind of thing. Whereas this prayer for mercy is what we talked about, knowing that only the offended can restore the relationship. So this asking for mercy in text 8 is a very deep understanding that I am the offender. I'm a wicked cheater, and my only hope is that the offended opens the door. And then asking for the restoration of our eternal relationship. Again, while we may have some idea of our relationship, some glimpses, the full awakening of that has to be revealed by the grace of the internal energy. It certainly isn't something that can be understood just with our intelligence or our senses. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains in many places that this desire for our eternal service is not sense gratification. It's a desire for an expression of love, but it's a particular expression of love. Someone wants to love Krishna in a very particular way, and then of course the shelter of the internal energy. It's not possible to serve Krishna properly without the shelter of the internal energy. Now we can say that all devotees are under the shelter of the internal energy from the beginning. Mahatmanastu mamparta daivim prakriti mashrita. This is asking for full shelter. Bhaktivinoda in his commentaries quoting verses, he's quoting verses from Rupa Goswami about having the shelter of Gandharva. And he says, falling on the ground like a rod, I, an extremely distressed soul, beg you to please count me as one of your near and dear ones. O Devi Gandharva, when will I dress you in a cloud-colored sari? O Devi Gandharva, when will this servant be able to massage your lotus feet? And Bhaktivinoda again reminds us that we approach Radharani, we approach the divine couple through their associates. So let's say one has achieved these three benedictions, that one has gotten mercy to drive away wickedness, revelation of our eternal service, and the shelter of the internal energy. What will we do? So the rest of Manashiksha is what one will do. Really, this verse, verse 8, is the turning point in Manashiksha, where you've gotten rid of all of your pride, and now you're going into the perfection. So Raghunath Goswami is going to give us 2 verses on what we meditate on in perfection and 1 verse at what we do. So I'm going to do just 1 more verse today. This is what one meditates on in perfection. Madishana tatve vraja vipina chandram vrajavane Swarim tam natatve taratu lasakitve tu lalitam Vishakam shishali vitarana gurutve priyasaro Girindro tatpreksha lalita ratidatve smaramanaha. O mind, meditate on Krishna, the moon of the Vrindavan forest, as the Lord of my leader Sri Radhika. Meditate on Sri Radhika as his most dear object of love. Meditate on Sri Lalita as her incomparable friend. Meditate on Sri Vishaka as the foremost guru distributing the teachings of love. And meditate on Radhakund and Govardhan as givers of the sight and love of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So here we have Krishna as the moon of the Vrindavan forest, the Lord of his leader, Raghunath Das Goswami's leader, Srimati Radharani, Radharani as his dearmost object of love, Vishaka as the guru, and Lalita as the confidential friend. And here we are near Govardhan and at Radhakund. This is our painting for this verse. Now we should note that this is Raghunath Das Goswami's personal meditation. So he, in Vraja, he is one of Srimati Radharani's Manjari Gopi assistants. So this is his particular meditation. So if someone in the previous verse, if they had a revelation of their eternal form as a cowherd boy, do you think they'd be meditating mostly on Radha Krishna? Do you think? You're all really tired. Do you think if they were cowherd boys, I don't know what they meditate. I just had a big meal, I just want to go sleep. So what do you think the cowherd boys are meditating on? Krishna Balaram. Do you think that those in parental mood are meditating on Radhakund? No, not at all. So this particular meditation is Raghunath Das Goswami's, and it's a template. It's a template. It's not meant to be just a copy-paste. It's a template as one awakens to one's own feeling for the Lord and his associates. One will be meditating on those personalities and those places that are particularly associated with that particular person's mood. So although Raghunath Das Goswami is giving this as a meditation for those who realize their eternal position with Krishna, do we have even newcomers meditate on Radha Krishna, Lita Vishaka, Govardhan, and Radhakund? Yes. We are taking Krishna book. I mean, I used to take Krishna book to O'Hare Airport. Gosh, I used to go out and sell Chaitanya Charitamrita Anjalila, which I think is the most esoteric of all of Prabhupada's books. And nectar devotion, just hearing Prabhupada saying this nectar devotion is for the whole world. Yeah, you read some of the little stories in it and you're thinking, oh, this is for the whole world, huh? Woo! Krishna book, and I didn't go up to people and say, hey, I have this really nice book, but have you realized your Swarup? One of the many wonderful, wonderful things about Srila Prabhupada is that Srila Prabhupada is specifically empowered to present very high subject matter to the general public in every culture in the world. And not to say anyone's higher or lower or whatever, but we just don't see that kind of empowerment in general. It's a very unusual empowerment. We're distributing Krishna book. Nectar of Instruction is about Radhakund. And I just have not found people reading Prabhupada's books and misunderstanding. I haven't met anybody who read Srila Prabhupada's books who came away with some mundane, distorted view of Krishna. It just hasn't happened. They're reading a Krishna book about Ras Leela, and they're understanding it properly. And Prabhupada's really empowered in this respect. And I would like to make the point that I think as Prabhupada's followers, we should follow him. I don't find any instance where Prabhupada told Leela without philosophy. Maybe there's a time, but I haven't found any such time. Could be. I've listened to all of Prabhupada's lectures and read all of Prabhupada's books many times. I don't know of any such instance. Perhaps there was sometime, somewhere. Prabhupada always intertwined rasa and Leela with philosophy. Consistently. He didn't tell philosophy here and then Leela here. It was always intertwined. And Prabhupada was always very, very careful to only quote bona fide sources. He didn't just tell stories, I heard this from some Brijbasi somewhere. Everything was bona fide and everything was interspersed with philosophy in such a way that there was no room for misunderstanding. So we should be extremely careful, especially we should be extremely careful because now we're having so many translations done of works of the Goswamis that are not like that. Our acharyas, people like Krishnadas Kaviraj and the Goswamis, they wrote books of Krishna's Leela that have no philosophy in them at all. Those books were written for people who were already highly realized and already understood the philosophy. Those were not written for a general audience. But now they're being translated into many different languages. Most of our temple shops, etc., have copies of these books. Almost everybody's house that I go to has copies of these books. They're fine, they're by their acharyas. But we should be very, very careful that in our own preaching of Krishna consciousness, that we should follow Srila Prabhupada. We're preaching to a worldwide audience. We're preaching to people who aren't necessarily already purified, who don't really necessarily understand the philosophy, and we should follow Prabhupada's guidance. And it's a personal concern of mine that I'm seeing that there's sort of a little drift from this, and people will get together in a public gathering and discuss very high Leela without philosophy. So this meditating on Radha Krishna, Lalita Vishaka, Govardhan, Radhakund, my point is it is available to the public. Here you have Radha Krishna deities. You're not forbidding the public from entering. You don't say the public, don't look at the altar until you're ready. And we have temples also with Lalita and Vishaka and Govardhan and so forth. So we can meditate on Krishna. In fact, we should meditate on Krishna along with his associates and pastime places from day one. From day one. We are giving people Krishna book out on the street, people who aren't even vegetarian. Am I correct? Yes. Are we telling them that they can read it? Are we just telling them to buy it and not read it? No, they can read it. So who else should be reading it? We should. Okay, if we're thinking, first I have to become a pure devotee, then I can read Krishna book, that's not what we're doing. Prabhupada gave Krishna book also very early in the movement. Right? There's one place where Prabhupada was giving a class, and he said, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you should naturally remember what you read in the Krishna book. He said, otherwise your chanting is inattentive. That's what he says. He says, why have we produced this Krishna book? He said, when you're chanting, you should automatically remember. He said, at least you should remember Krishna's talks in the Bhagavad Gita, or you can remember how Krishna's killing the demon and the cowherd boys are encouraging him with claps. So we're meant to read these books to become absorbed. We're not meant to read these books as something official and mechanical to get it out of the way, so then we can really be absorbed in politics or sporting or something like that. You know, and then our mind is just filled up with this war that's going on and that crime and this whatever. But we should read these to become absorbed. So whether we're beginners reading to become absorbed, or whether we're advanced devotees reading to relish, still we should certainly be meditating on these personalities. And as our own spiritual proclivities awaken, then we should especially meditate on the personalities that are in line with our own spiritual nature. So Raghunath Das Goswami says we should meditate on Krishna as the moon of the Vrindavan forest and the lord of his leader, Srimati Radharani. So this is very particular to Raghunath Das Goswami. There are certain gopis who like Krishna more than Radha, some who like them both equally, some who like Radha more than Krishna. Raghunath Das Goswami, as in his Manjari form, likes Radharani more than Krishna. So his mood is, I like Radharani and I like Krishna because Radharani likes Krishna. You understand? That should not be imitated, which is why the GBC said, don't chant Radha's name without Krishna. And then you become like Ravana trying to take Sita from Ram. So Raghunath Das Goswami can do that. He can just chant Radharani's name, but we should not imitate that, right? And if one does that without realization, then one will actually become entangled. You won't, as soon as you take Radha from Krishna, you don't get Radha anymore. You know, you get Durga. One has to be very careful. But this is his particular meditation, to meditate on Krishna as the moon of the Vrindavan forest and the lord of his leader, Srimati Radharani. And he meditates on Radharani as Krishna's most dear object of love. So Krishna is falling at the feet of Srimati Radharani. So perhaps you know that Jayadev wrote this line, Krishna is falling at the feet of Radharani. But he wasn't sure if he should write this or not. So he's debating, I feel inspired to write this line, but I don't really know if I should write it. Of course, most of you here are from an Indian background, so you can relate. But I think most people who are not Indians are like, so he's falling at the feet of his girlfriend. What's the big deal about that? Okay. But to fall at the feet of someone is to indicate subservience. It's to indicate subservience. So this idea that God is becoming subservient to his devotees. So Jayadev Goswami was a little hesitant. And he decided, well, I'm going to think about it. Let me go think about it. So he told his wife Padmavati, I'm going to go take a bath. So he went to take his bath. And then he came back, and she gave him his lunch, and she ate her lunch. And then he went in his room to write, but then he came in the door again. And he said, Padmavati, where's my lunch? She said, well, what do you mean, where's your lunch? You already had lunch. You came in the door, and you had lunch, and I had lunch. And I did not. I just came in from bathing. No, you did. You had. What do you mean I had lunch? Look, it's all gone. You ate, I ate, and then I distributed it to the beggars and the servants and the preachers. It's gone. Oh. I ate, huh? Yeah, you ate. Well, then what did I do? Then you did what you always did after lunch. You went in your room to write. I did? Yeah. Oh. So he goes in his room and he looks, and they're in fresh ink. They used to use like calligraphy pens or feathers or something. It's fresh ink. Krishna has fallen at the feet of Radharani. And then he can understand Krishna had assumed his form and come in pretending to be him and had lunch and gone and written that in his book. That'd be nice, huh? If you're writing something and Krishna writes a line for you in the book. So, actually, Krishna is falling at the feet of all of his devotees. Krishna says, I am pure because I worship my devotees. What an interesting idea of God we have. If Krishna is claiming his own purity, is because of worshiping his devotees. So Bhaktivinoda quotes some songs in this commentary, and one of them in relation with Radharani is Devi Radhika, this servant of yours has fallen immensely into the depths of various oceans of distresses. Through the amazing boat of your strong mercy, kindly rescue the servant and make her attain the liberating shore of your lotus feet. Raghunath Das Goswami tells us to meditate on Vishaka as the guru. This is again his particular meditation. Many of the Goswamis see Lalita as the guru. So Vishaka is the guru teaching the arts of love, instructing Srimati Radharani. We know that Vishaka has a form as Ramananda Roy, who is acting as the guru to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna in Radha's mood. Now, Bhaktivinoda has prayers in his commentary here to all these personalities. So to Radharani, and then he also has prayers to Vishaka, but he has prayers to Vishaka in her form as the Yamuna River and the goddess Yamuna. So he's quoting, these are prayers he's quoting from Rupa Goswami, and this one is, may Sri Jamuna Devi, the daughter of the lotus-friendly sun god, always purify me. She saves one from entering the abode of her brother, Yamaraj. Here's Surya with his twin children, Yamuna and Yamaraj, and the beautiful Yamuna River. And Raghunath Das Goswami says to meditate on Lalita, Radharani's incomparable friend and confidant. So in the spiritual reality, there are friends, there are confidants, there's everything. Right? The Brahma Samhita says, Yad Bhava Bhavita Dio Manujastataiva Samprapya Mubra Mahima Sanayanabhusha Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitas Duvanti. That we have our own eternal home with our own friends, our own furniture even, our own ornaments. Everything is there in perfection. And Bhaktivinoda quotes some prayers from Rupa Goswami about Lalita, how Mother Yasoda is very fond of Lalita, who was Radharani's confidential friend. Here we see Lalita dancing for the pleasure of the divine couple. And again in the Lalita Astaka, which is quoted in this commentary, Lalita Devi is extremely expert due to her excellent qualities. Raghunath Das Goswami tells us to meditate on Radhakund. He says, Radhakund gives the vision and love for the divine couple. So, as you may know, this Manashiksha was written on the bank of Radhakund after the disappearance of, or the bank of Shamakund. After the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami went to Radhakund, and his samadhi is right here. And then if you go up these stairs, this is in Shamakund, these are the stairs to Manasa Pavanagat. And if you go up those stairs, you will find the Bhajan Kutir of Raghunath Das Goswami. A little bit further back, off this picture, is the Bhajan Kutir of Krishnadas Kaviraj. Raghunath Das Goswami, when he came to Radhakund after Mahaprabhu had left the planet, he brought with him the diary of Swarup Damodar. And Raghunath Das Goswami would sit right here in this courtyard every afternoon with Krishnadas Kaviraj after about 3-4 hours every day and talk to him about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities from Swarup Damodar's diary. And that's where we get the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, and Ancha-lila. And Raghunath Das Goswami tells us to meditate on Govardhan, who also gives the sight and love of the divine couple. Now, of course, everyone in every mood with Krishna meditates on Govardhan. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. So here Raghunath Das Goswami has told us specifically to meditate on Krishna, Radha, Vishaka, Lalita, Govardhan, and Radhakund. Of those 6, who do you think he especially wants to meditate on? Radharani. So that's what we'll start off with tomorrow, his meditation on Radharani. And then after that is his prescription for what to do. So he has 2 verses of meditation, one on those 6, which we've just done, one on Radharani, then what to do, and then there's a verse of benediction. So what I'd like us to do now, for just a few minutes, and then we can have some open time for questions. So Raghunath Das Goswami, again, he's suggested we meditate on Krishna, Radha, Lalita, Vishaka, Govardhan, and Radhakund. So it's very nice if we can have some specific personalities, places, and pastimes that we like to meditate on, or that we'd like to see, or people we'd like to meet. So, like, I mean, I'd really like to see the battle between Karna and Arjuna. I don't know if I'd like to be in the battle. Not sure about that, but I'd like to see it. I definitely would like to see Krishna as a chariot driver and Arjuna fighting with Karna. I'd also really like to see Varaha coming out of Brahma's nose. And then he becomes, huge like the sky, and he's roaring, and he picks up the earth, and I really like that. I'd really like to see the Kaliya Leela, Krishna dancing on Kaliya's hoods. I went to a festival in Russia. At the end of the festival, they had dancers doing a fireworks dance. I mean, really, it was really, gosh. They can't leave Russia because they can't take their equipment over the border. But they perform at night outside, and they have costumes, it has to be outside. They have costumes that have lights on them as they dance, and then they have a special helmet where no kidding. Nobody believes these stories I tell. I'm sure you're just like, she's really exaggerating, but I'm not. They have these helmets, and they have real fireworks coming out of the tops of these helmets and the side of the helmets. And then they have wristlets where fireworks are not just sparklers, like the real fireworks. Wow. And I was thinking, watching this dance, what it would be like seeing Krishna dance on Kaliya, who's spewing fire. It's in the water, and his heads are really slippery. Wow. Oh, I'd love to see that pastime. I'd like to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided into 7 forms in the Rath Yatra. So certain pastimes, we like all the pastimes, but I'm sure for each of us there's certain pastimes that we would particularly like to see. So if you could please talk to a neighbor, each of you talk to each other, at least one pastime from each of you, one pastime personality that you would really like to see or be in. Okay? You want the picture of Radharani and Lalita? You want, oops, no, not that one. Went way back to the wrong verse. Okay. This one? By Dhriti. You like that? This by Dhriti. Not so old. No, it's not so old. Dhriti. By Dhriti. That's actually a poor copy of it. That's not a great, and that's just a piece of it. It's a larger painting. Another blue one. Oh, this one? Oh, is that the one I have no idea who that artist is. I don't know who that artist is. You want me to keep that one up? Is that the one you want me to keep up? Hare Krishna. Actually, I know which one I'll put up. I'm not going to put up anyone from this verse at all. I'm going to go back and put up this one. I'm going to put up this one because this one has personalities from each of the relationships with Krishna. Okay, so 5 minutes if you could talk to a neighbor. Each of you suggest some pastime personalities that you would like to see. Okay, thank you very much. So we have some time for some questions. Could you turn that off? Could you turn off the projector? Any questions at all at this point? Yes.
Hare Krishna Mat. Morning you told about asking Krishna. And then second thing is Krishna shows us illusion and truth. I was thinking when we have some problem and we try to approach Krishna, I usually feel that I will be in mode of ignorance. Totally, I feel like everything is shut off and my mind won't work at all. So is it like I should continue praying every day and
Okay, well, first of all, this advice is for a very specific situation. I mean, certainly you can talk to Krishna about everything all the time, always. You can always have a running conversation with him. But he won't mind. But this is a very specific problem. It's the problem where one is engaged in the practices of bhakti, one is not doing anything deviant, but one still doesn't feel the mental peace and satisfaction. One is feeling mental distress and burning and difficulty. So in that case, you want to ask Krishna, what is my actual problem? And this is exactly the situation that Arjuna was in Bhagavad Gita.
And is there any, because sometimes when we are choosing, is there any, like should we be approaching a mentor or a guru to help us choose? Or like should we be approaching for help to what to choose?
This particular problem you have to deal with Krishna. Other people can help you to give you the courage to go to Krishna. And they can help you to give you the courage to choose something that you very much have to do yourself. I mean, Raghunath Das Goswami is telling us to serve the great devotees to get rid of the desire for honor for our service. He's telling us to take shelter of the devotees to get rid of our lust, anger, envy, greed, illusion. But for here, he's telling us go to the feet of Gandharvika Giridhari for this particular problem. In my experience, I've seen that trying to counsel or mentor people for this kind of problem, it does not work. The only kind of counseling and mentoring you can give them is go to Krishna. As I said, you can go to Krishna for everything all the time, but there's specific, here he's giving specific difficulties and specific ways of dealing with it. Now, if you haven't had any guru or mentor, you're not even going to know how to go to Krishna. Again, that's verse 6. Verse 1 starts with the word guru. You're not even going to know who Krishna is, how to ask him. I mean, it's possible. Krishna's in everyone's heart. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have two questions. About verse 7 on honor and prestige.
Yes.
I was particularly thinking about work environment.
About what?
Work environment.
Work environment.
Work environment. Where where there is this lack of respect for I as a professional doing that work, I find it difficult to kind of like carry on my duties at work, thinking to myself that I at least deserve some basic respect for me to carry on my. But this is not something which I find it difficult when dealing with more at the work environment where I have this particular. So I was just thinking, how can I maybe some practical ways to.
Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be speaking specifically about how to find value and meaning in our work. And there's a new book that I'm working on with a devotee named Rukmini, Dr. Datta. And it's specifically about work. It's about Varna Dharma. And the class tomorrow is going to be on the chapter that deals with how to find real value and meaning in our work. So I think that might help you. What it sounds like to me, just hearing from you briefly here, is that we want to do something that has meaning and value. And part of the reason that we feel we deserve respect for what we're doing is without it, we feel like people are saying our work has no value. If you're working in a company or whatever, you're working for people, and they don't use your work, they throw it away, they don't even, then you think, what am I doing it for? Why should I even bother if nobody attributes any meaning to it? So we will be looking at that, Krishna willing, tomorrow afternoon. The time tomorrow afternoon is from Sunday feast in the afternoon, 5:30 to 6:30? 5:30 to 6:30.
And my second question is, yesterday we discussed about the Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari. You
Yes.
made an interesting point saying that one can be Uttamadhikari in one and different. So when one is asked to discriminate, I as Kanishta or Madhyama, whatever position I am in, I'm asked to discriminate. What is that I should be actually looking for in other people? When
Oh, I like that question. Well, why are we being asked to discriminate? What's the purpose of that discrimination? Yeah, to properly relate.
Right.
So then relate in what? Well, it's going to be something specific. Let's say I want to relate to somebody about Shastra. I have some question or some doubt about Shastra. Then I'm going to look at those demarcations for Shastra. I'm not going to go to someone who knows less Shastra than I do and has less faith in the Shastra than I have. Could you have very little knowledge of the Shastra and not be able to convince anybody, but be fully in love with Krishna? Is that possible? Yes. You could be illiterate. You could not read any Shastra at all. You couldn't know a word of it. You could be incapable of convincing anybody on the basis of Shastra and be fully in love with Krishna. But I wouldn't ask such a person a question about Shastra. Does that make sense? Yes? So when you're trying to decide, you're trying to decide because there's some purpose. It depends what the purpose is. So if I want to discuss certain things with equals, but they may not be my equals in something else. Depends, what are we talking about? What are we looking at? Therefore, it's good to know what are people's position in different areas. You know, one of the things that we're trained in the academic world is that you don't speak out of your area of expertise. Another one of my bugaboos in the Hare Krishna movement, people who speak out of their areas of expertise. Somebody who never taught kids, never had kids, and they're telling you how to raise kids. Somebody who was never married, and they're telling you how to be married. It's like, well, I read books about it. Okay. You don't tell me how to be married because you read books about it. So when we're looking at Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama, it's in what area? Does that make sense? Sure. Otherwise, I mean, other than that, we don't really need to be discriminating as to who's who. You understand? I don't need to look at each of you and say, exactly where are you? Where are you? I mean, what a miserable society that would be. Oh my God. If we were always psychoanalyzing everybody, you know. I think you're a Madhyama, but I don't know if you're Kanishta in this. I mean, how would we have any friends? It would be terrible. But it's a practical thing. You know, if I need guidance in a particular area, then I'm going to go to somebody who's more realized than I am in that area. If I want to share things with people in a particular area, then I'm going to go to people I can share things that are equal to me in that area. Right? And it's not that because someone is a senior devotee, that they're senior in everything. You understand? If you want to ask me something about education, okay. But if you want to, like people ask me about details of deity worship, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I've done pujari service and I worship my own shilas, but I'm not like a deity worshiper. You understand? Or, you know, I know how to cook. I mean, I was a chef in a Marriott hotel. And I know how to cook, and I've cooked for devotees, I've cooked quantity for devotees in temples, but I'm not Burma or Yamuna, you know. I mean, I know, kind of in the middle. So if you're looking for an expert cook, you know, I'm the wrong person. Ask Apurva or Burma. You understand? But it just depends. You know, what are we talking about? If you want to know how to build a Rath Yatra cart, then I'm a total kanista. I don't know a thing. Okay? So it's just, you know, we want to associate with people appropriately. The main things we're trying to avoid there, we're trying to avoid for ourselves, speaking or preaching out of our areas of expertise or realization. We're also trying to avoid inappropriately preaching to people who aren't ready to hear certain things. You know, like I was talking about how Srila Prabhupada always combined Leela with philosophy. Now, if you yourself are very realized as to your Swarup and you're with other people in the same category, you can just sit around talking about Leela. But you're not going to do that with the general public. That's a mistake. Or even just with the general devotees, just sit around telling Leela. It's not appropriate. People will misunderstand and they'll commit offense. So these are all practical. They're practical things. They're not so we can have little labels on people. And that's not appropriate anyway, because, you know, each of us are at different levels and different. Thank you for asking that. Yes.
Krishna Mataji. About the 4 steps you mentioned.
Yes.
Krishna, show me the first one. We are going to Krishna. It requires a lot of courage, you mentioned.
Definitely.
And apart from that, I was like, sometimes like ignorance, or sometimes with the other attractions, or sometimes maybe health related, physically or mentally, like a lot of different factors which does not, or like you might be like, that I think like, I don't want, like, I want to try, that comes into the picture, and once you are at the last resort, okay, I'm done, really, that's when the bulb the bulbs light up. Oh, I think now I should go to Krishna.
Maybe now I should go to Krishna, huh?
Yeah, so it's different persons, like, some maybe like, the moment they go to Krishna, or some maybe at the last they go. But what are the practical, like, ways which we could, improve ourselves, learn practical approach Krishna?
I think just doing it a few times. And you just kind of see how lovely it is. What happens after just let's take a human example. Let's say you have a friend who asked you for advice, and they really listened to you, they didn't argue with you, they didn't get all false ego-y and defensive about it, they accepted it, they put it into practice. And that happened 2 or 3 times. You might start offering them advice without them asking. Right? I mean, if you had that relationship with them where they were leaning on you and they really took you seriously, so Krishna will do that. And that's really exciting. Because then you feel, oh, he trusts me. So you're at some difficult time in your life, like, oh, why is this happening? Oh, this is just awful. And then Krishna, without your asking, says, here it is. Here's the illusion. Here's the truth. So it does get to the point that you practically don't have to ask him anymore. I mean, it does get to the point, eventually, Prabhupada says, where Krishna is standing in front of you talking to you face to face. May that happen to me someday. But try to lean on him and take him seriously when he gives you instruction. Try it. First couple times it's usually very hard. But eventually, Krishna becomes, he gets excited. Wow, somebody actually wants to advance in Krishna consciousness. And then he'll help you through all different avenues. Sometimes he'll help you by your guru talking to you, or another devotee, or talk to you through so many ways. Prabhupada was selling Back to Godhead magazines. And one man said to him, people just throw magazines away, you should print books. And Prabhupada, that's Krishna telling me. Understand? And he switched, he started working on the Bhagavatam. Or when Prabhupada was in a hospital in New Jersey from, I guess it was a stroke, the doctor comes in and says, that old man prays too much. He needs to get more exercise. And the devotees were horrified. Oh, how dare you talk to our spiritual... And Prabhupada said, he's right. And Prabhupada started going on a morning walk and getting a massage every day. He took it, Krishna speaking to me. So we become aware of how Krishna is interacting with you, but first he has to know that you're receptive. I mean, I don't like giving any advice to people who are not receptive. Do you? It's awful. I remember this one devotee years ago came to me, Urmila, please tell me what my biggest problem is. And I knew her, and I said, you don't have any problems. And she kept pressuring me, and I got a little sentimental, I suppose, after a while. And I was still trying to be really careful, but I said, look, you really don't have any problems, but since you're insisting that you want to know what your problem is, you have this very small, I mean, it's nothing really. But you're asking me, so I'm telling you, but it's nothing, it's just nothing. Oh my God, the next 3 weeks, she didn't leave me alone. She was calling me and emailing, how dare you say I have this problem? I'm like, oh my God. Never gonna tell her anything again. So you don't want Krishna to be in that situation. Where Krishna's like, yeah, you're fine, lady, you're fine. Try it. But you have to really want to know. I mean, it has to be genuine. You can't play games with this. You have to really want to know. And then after a while, he'll start responding automatically. And putting you back on the right track automatically. Telling you what's going on automatically. Yes?
The practicality of Raghunath Das Goswami's directions. And it makes very much sense, just to think about it, that when one is dealing with some sort of addiction or condition that forces one to do the loss and that whole gang of ugly, creatures, there are people. One have to take shelter of a devotee or call for the army of devotees, as you call them, And I remember hearing long time ago this presentation that His Grace Rabindra Swarup Prabhu made on the cure of souls.
Yes. That
one of the problems that people who are pursuing a spiritual growth confront is when you hit that that point of being forced to do something even when you don't want to do it. And then the part that hurts it is that when we don't speak that, we don't find a confidant, a devotee, someone that helps us. And then I also remember talking with a friend devotee who was doing the 12th step. And part of the 12th step is that you have to be accountable to one person.
Yes.
So that important part that one have to, call like repeatedly, to a devotee, I'm being killed, save.
Yes.
Like
yes,
that. So,
definitely.
and then the talking to Krishna is when one's free to that, and then one's dealing with more subtle.
Yes.
So it is the point that you were making
Exactly.
when you were asking a question.
And there's different, he's giving different guidance for different kinds of things. And that the stuff that's very, very subtle, I find if you just say, well, I'm going to go to counseling, you won't accept it. Mind will just not be able to accept it if you're not opening yourself. I mean, you can accept it from a counselor if Krishna is also speaking within the heart and you hear him. It may come through a counselor. But one has to be open to that direction. Very, very subtle. But then for the most subtle thing, one has to serve the generals in Krishna's army. For the deepest thing. So we're meeting tomorrow at 11 again? Is that correct? 10:30. Okay, so meeting tomorrow at 10:30. And then we'll be going over, we'll be doing the meditation on Srimati Radharani, the drinking of the 5 nectars, and a whole meditation on Govardhan, and then the benediction. And then tomorrow, 5:30 to 6:30, right? 5:30 to 6:30, we'll be looking at how to find real meaning and value in the work that we do. Thank you very much. Raghunath Das Goswami ki, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.